Gill, Tom.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Evolution of Sports Development. I'm joined today by Adam Gillsworth.
Hello.
And Declan Smith.
Hello.
Hi guys.
Thank you, Tom.
So what are we covering in today's episode then, Dec?
Well, within this episode, Tom, we are covering the evolution of sports development. We will be delving into the key policy stages and campaign development throughout the 60s, 90s and even the 2000s.
All three great key areas, wouldn't you agree, Adam?
Yes, I've actually got a question that's been bugging me about this. Has sports development changed for the greater good from the 1960s, in your opinion?
That is a great question.
Stay tuned to find out.
We'll just have a quick word from the sponsors. When I drink water, I drink Rondo Hills because it's great taste and great refreshingness that just lasts the day. Suggest you do too. So, firstly, what is sports development and what does it do? I'll tell you guys. Sports development is a government-run program which focuses on using sport to develop humanistic factors at a national level, as well as sport having an effect on physical factors, increasing quality of life and helping fight disease and illness. Sport has a positive effect on the mental state of a person.
It's a good point you raised there.
Thank you.
As the government noticed the positive effect sport can have, they created sports development as a part of a welfare state.
The welfare state was created by the Labour Party in 1945. Its goal was to protect and promote the economic and social well-being of its citizens.
Sorry, we're just having emails come through about today's show.
We'll get to them emails later.
As well as bringing new changes to the NHS.
Organise
schools and benefits. They vowed to put sport into disadvantaged communities using a new organisation called Sport England.
Oh, I've heard about that. We'll delve into that a bit later. Starting at the 1960s, what was it like to live in Britain in the 60s? Certainly many of the technological advances we enjoy today weren't heard of then. There were no mobile phones or internet. There were limited opportunities to travel. For many, the most adventurous thing they could do was fly to Spain for their holidays. The 60s was a time for change, with homosexuality and abortion being legalised. Swinging London was all the age, with new pop culture directly influencing the way people live their day-to-day lives.
The Labour government came into power in 1964 and stayed until 1970. Up until then, the Conservatives were in charge from 1960.
The 60s saw the publication of the Wilford Report. The Wilford Report was the most comprehensive policy document concerning sport until this time. Its main objective was to raise the number of sport participation while also reducing the number of young people who drop out of sport after leaving school.
John Frederick Wolfenden highly praised the contribution of sport for aiding mental challenges and decreasing the number of social problems, as well as having a positive physical effect on the human body. One problem the Wolfenden report highlighted, though, was the lack of facilities available to the public. Although it addressed the fact that England is filled with vast landscapes, rivers and walking paths, these are no longer available to everyone, with some people needing little encouragement to participate within sport and exercise.
I totally agree with you there, Adam. This fact had an immediate effect on sport development, highlighting the fact that there were only 4 sports centres available to the public throughout the UK in 1964. Can you believe that, guys? Only 4 sports centres available to the public.
In the whole country?
In the UK.
And would you say there is now? Thousands.
Exactly. Which I think is spurred from the Wilford Report, and then seeing the effect that sport can have on and influence a young human being. It eventually led to the construction of many more, which is great to know.
Thank you, Tom. With the Conservatives in power during the first half of the 60s, their policies were different to Labour's in the second half of the 60s. One of their policies was freedom to the individual over equality. Equality of access was the domain value which reflected in sport development by targeting under-participating groups.
Great point there you just made, Declan. In 1965 saw the creation of the Advisory Sports Council, although we can all agree it was 5 years later than recommended due to scepticism over Converse.
The main aims of the Sport Council were standards of provision of sports facilities for the community, correlation of information about the position in other countries, surveys of resources and regional planning, coordination of the use of community resources, research, development of training and coaching, likely capital expenditure, participation in sporting events overseen by British amateur teams, and priorities in sports development.
The 60s were a great year for sporting success, with England beating their rivals Germany to win the World Cup in 1966, inspiring thousands of young kids and adults to participate in football.
Just got a... Yep. We'll just have a call coming in. If you'd like to take that online, wouldn't it?
Hello. It's Mr. David Cade from Barnsley. He's got a question for you, Tom.
Has it?
His question is...
The question is, how do you think the welfare state has impacted sport?
Well, I think if you look into the welfare state, it's not only covered, it's not the sport, but it's made it it's brought up the fact of what benefits you can gain from sport. As we've covered before, it's not only as a physical game, it's also a mental and just state of well-being, as well as helping like get rid of illness and have a better meaning of life.
Sorry, David, I know that your question was for Thomas, but I'd just like to add that it was helping lower class people get involved with sport by
That's right.
helping it would helping with citizens and like helping them with their economic things, like helping them like pay for
Giving
sport and stuff.
people that haven't usually got a chance
Yeah,
to
just giving an
participate in
opportunity.
sport. Things getting them more involved, showing them the awareness and why they should be put into sport. Thanks, David. That's a great question.
Yes, thank you, David. That is a great question. I am sure you are sat at home very fulfilled with the answer.
For more information, please watch our...
Or log on to our website, or drop us an email.
Drop us an email, or if you'd like to call back later, not a problem. Moving on to the 90s, to paraphrase Robin Williams, if you can remember the 90s, you probably were there. With a Tamagotchi in one hand and a Game Boy in the other, and a Spice Girls album playing in your Walkman.
Throughout the 90s, the Conservatives were in power, with Labour taking over from 1997. Did you know that?
I did not
I
know
did not
that.
know. That's a great fact.
So I'll be
In 1993, the Conservative Party wanted to split the current Sport Council into two separate bodies, United Kingdom Sports Commission and the Sports Council for England. They will be standing alongside the Sports Councils of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
The thought of breaking the current Sports Council came after review of sport and active recreation in 1991. The change was to counter previous mistakes and bring upon a new beginning.
There's another great fact there, Adam. It's only since the 1990s that sports policies became coherent and concise, with John Major giving sport a much higher priority. John Major identified elite sport, success and sport for young people as a joint objective, seeing the potential impact sport can have on a young person's development.
The Conservative Party also introduced the National Lottery as the new way of funding. With it came the power to grant funding to encourage the development of voluntary sporting organisations and schools to aid in fulfilling their sporting policies.
In 1995, Sport Raising the Game was released. The journal stated inside that the development of teachers, parents and volunteers and pupils all through sport. To aid this, the government funded sports development with £300 million from the National Lottery.
The 90s were a big year for sporting events with little success for England, being knocked out of the 1990 World Cup to our rivals West Germany, and also losing the Ashes. Test series to Australia.
I think that might have. Oh.
Getting
Call
call.
come through.
We're very busy tonight.
Very busy tonight.
Hello. Oh, it's another call from Barnsley.
Oh, who's on the line, Declan?
It's Mr. Tom Nerney.
Oh, great. That is great. Super duper.
It's a big one.
Oh.
There's a lot of dog tags me in there.
Oh, sorry, that's not a question. It's just Tom telling us about his new matches on Tinder.
Great. Let's have
It's what I like,
any
Wasting his time.
serious calls.
Come
coming
on,
through?
guys, you're at home.
Have we
Come
any
on.
serious calls coming through?
Serious email.
Oh.
Oh,
Let's take a look at this email then.
love getting emails from fans, me.
Just makes my day. Is the email sort of saying how England being knocked out of the World Cup and then losing to Test rivals also had a kind of a negative effect on.
So you've got that email as well?
I did. I'm just like, yeah, I totally agree. Seeing your national pride being knocked out of an international sporting event is going to have a negative effect. But you've also got to use this opportunity to try and push people towards getting involved in these games.
Because then they can have a positive impact on helping the teams progress and get better.
Correct. Moving on to 2000s. During the 2000s, two governing bodies were in charge. Labour, in 1997 to 2010, had two leaders. Tony Blair, who led from 97 to 2007, and then following Gordon Brown, 2007 to 2010. A coalition government consisting of Conservatives, sorry about this, Conservatives David Cameron and Liberal Nick Clegg took power in the general election of 2010 to present day. Not present day because obviously we know that Conservatives are now leading on their own. Both parties had a different overview of how the country should be run, and they put development into different key areas.
At the turn of the century, Labour was in charge. Labour published A Sporting Future for All, which identified the need to modernise how sport is run to gain participation and increase greater achievement, leading to higher number of elite athletes. They wanted to increase sport participation in schools, the community, and the number of sporting organisations.
Just progressing from that deck, they also believe participating in sport from a young age will give them opportunities to find hidden talent and see potential. They want, yeah, like Harry Kane, the golf.
Mr. Ryan Mason, Mr. Harry Kane, Townsend not so much.
But still, he gets it to go though, doesn't he? Puts his best in. They wanted to give children a chance to play a different variety of sport with a higher level of teaching in basic sport skills. They wanted to give children a chance to compete against others with similar levels of skill to maybe encourage them to participate in local clubs, with a few who stood out taking pathways to elite or even national clubs.
Totally agree with that fact. Labour showed their desire to improve sports equipment, facilities and opportunities, whether it's taking part or developing one's knowledge of the coaching skill. They believed joined-up thinking was needed to bring different parts of the development and education together to gain a better use of scarce resources. In 2002, the Sports Council became Sports England, which was now a governing agency. The first act was to increase participation and quality of physical education throughout schools nationwide.
As well as Sport England, Youth Sport Trust was a similar group which formed in 1994. Their aim was to increase the quantity, quality and diversity of young people to engage them into volunteering and leadership.
Youth Sport Trust met their aims through a programme called Step Into Sport. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Please elaborate.
Expand.
Well, it targeted children aged between 11 and 19.
11 to 19?
Yeah.
That is a crucial age.
It's just when people are getting, it's when they're starting to show signs of potential, isn't it? Yeah. It also involved big groups such as the FA and England Gymnastics. They also included local sports centres, giving people the opportunity to volunteer within selected sports. This programme also gave pupils an introduction into volunteering within sport through different roles such as a leader, coach, official, administrator, manager and performer. They found starting these from a younger age gave pupils a head start in developing leadership and skill, confidence and knowledge. It also influenced them
into sporting careers at a higher level, which they could then teach to others, having a positive benefit on sports development. So that's kind of linking it back to earlier when what sports development is all about. It's all about not just having a positive effect on your mental state or your physical well-being, it's also getting them leadership skills that you can progress into later life and try and carry something over.
I'm sorry, we have to apologise. It is Adam's first time in the job today, so
I put my own bit of punctuation and it just didn't work, sorry.
Carry on anyway.
Sorry about that, guys.
It was a typo on the screen.
In 2005, England won the bid to host the Olympic Games. This had a massive benefit on sports development. Absolutely tremendous. Probably the best thing that could happen to Sports England. Throughout the UK, investing money and time into centres and education, making sport available for all. Lord Coe started the Olympic Will, which was change the face of British sport.
I really like that because they did need a big change.
Yeah.
They need renovating. So
Lord Coe, he knew what he was on about, and I'm glad he got in there and did what he had to do.
As well as the Olympics having a benefit through the community, it also inspired a generation to take up athletic sports they wouldn't usually do. Youths wanted to be the next Bradley Wiggins and Jessica Ennis, as well as David Beckham's. This is good for sports development, bringing a new generation of athletes through having an increase in participation level.
The Olympics also had a positive effect on the welfare state of the UK, bringing new jobs and housing to deprived areas. It also gave new opportunities to businesses throughout London. Facilities built for athletes to live in, train and relax are still up and running, driving development and bringing positives to social parts of life.
That's great, that's what I like to see. I like to see something that can influence the sporting side, but also give people a better life.
The fact that it won't just forgotten, it won't forgotten about after the Olympics when it's carrying on getting used and Olympic Park's still attracting people in
Not only offering people sporting benefits, it's giving people housing, it's giving people jobs.
Absolutely top stuff.
Thanks, guys. Sky Sports begun work with Youth Sports Trust.
Called Living for Sport, which targeted 11 to 16-year-olds. Living for Sport is a free school program that gives pupils a chance to work with their local heroes. This program has a positive effect within confidence and can increase life skill as well as motivation to take part in. So when you see like people like David Beckham getting involved in this type of thing, that's got to be. Let's give David Beckham a round of applause for doing that. We've got another call coming in. Oh yeah, we do.
Would you like to take that again, Declan?
Hello.
I wonder what it is this time. Can't be another one from Barnsley.
Very popular in Barnsley tonight.
Stan Connolly.
Dan Connolly, you're telling me?
Dan Connolly's watching our show?
Oh, what's he like? What's he asking, Declan?
He's just telling us it's a great show, but why? Why is this show better than all the rest of the shows?
I'll tell you why. This show is good because it faces the facts. We're not scared to get in.
We bring a bit of personality to the discussion.
We're not scared to hold anything back. If something's not settling us, boom. We'll discuss it. We'll debate.
We've got a distinction on this segment.
Is that where it says we're heading towards a distinction? That is great. Well,
yeah, I think
I wouldn't expect any less because
it's been a great show today.
Thank you for your call, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Looking forward to hearing from you soon. And from all those rest of us callers. Sadly, that is it for tonight. I'd like to say in conclusion that we can see the importance of sport on a mental, social and physical well-being has developed through the years, with government policies and organisations dedicated to increase the participation and quality gained in the benefit of sport on both personal and a community level. That's it for us tonight. From my co-host, Adam Gillsworth and Declan.
Goodbye. Let's
Goodbye.
dance.
See you later.
Come on. Dad, get one of them.
We get hands up.